Coming to you live from our studios right here in the heart of Victoria Island, Lagos. This is the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. We are your love music, love live station. It's a feel good Friday morning, and it's a great time to take a walk into the locker room and take a look at the sporting news, all the sporting stories that have been making the rounds. It is going to be a fantastic one. That I can guarantee you. Take it to the bank, cash that check. It's not going to bounce. My name is Ayokumi Kekiriako, and of course, joining me on a Feel Good Friday morning to usher us into the weekend because that is what she does, what she loves, the one and only sports Amazon herself, Tega Supreme. Good morning to you, Tega.
Good morning. Thank God it's
Yes, sir.
Friday. All right, it is Friday, but so much has happened and so much will happen. All right,
Mm.
we'll start off in America, the land of the free, the home of the
Home of
brave,
the brave.
and also the land of the dodgy calls on Steph Curry. We'll touch on that. We'll also look at what is happening in Madrid. Remember when Carlos Alcaraz played in Barcelona? Something else happened in that final, and it has affected Madrid. We'll touch on that a little bit. We'll also talk about the struggles of some of the women's. You know how the WTA is, wild, wild
Wild,
west.
Wild West.
We'll touch on those struggles. What else? What else? We'll talk about the Premier League. Um, Liverpool. They are no longer. This one is not title in waiting. I hope they have carried the cup already to
It
Merseyside.
will be there. It will be there.
It will
Inside
be there
cupboard
waiting.
somewhere.
Inside cupboard, they'll just be polishing it. Put inside nylon. Inside those nylon that they used to burst the bubbles. Yeah, they have to put it because
Bubble wrap,
something
yeah.
happened. Yeah, their bubble wrap. Something happened midweek. We'll touch on all of that and more. Then this weekend, we'll also touch about Inter Milan's AC Milan problem because it's
Mm.
becoming a little tough to die. So we'll touch on all of those and more inside the locker room this morning. But before we do any talking, Ayokumi, how can we be a part of the locker room today? Because today I'm about to tell Arsenal fans the real reason why they cannot win the Premier League. The
Mm.
real reason. All right.
Mm.
So just give us the numbers to send our messages to or how we can be a part of the show because I really want to hear from them.
All right. Now, Arsenal fans out there, Teg is about to take you to church. Now, if you disagree or you agree, we'd love to hear your thoughts and your perspectives as well. So you can share them with us on WhatsApp or on YouTube. Now, the WhatsApp number is 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 That is the WhatsApp number. Send those messages in. Keep them coming. And join us on YouTube as well at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. That is where all the great behind the scenes stuff tends to happen. So join us. Come one and come all. All right, Tega, let's start, as you said, in America. And let's talk about the NBA, where Golden State's Jimmy Butler sustained a pelvis contusion after taking a hard fall on a foul by Eamon Thompson late in the first quarter and missed the rest of Warriors' 109-94 loss to the Houston Rockets on Wednesday night.
Yes, a huge, huge loss. And after Jimmy Butler went off, Steph Curry said it kind of changed their offense, and you understand why. When Jimmy Butler is not on court, that means there's not enough points coming, which means Steph Curry has to do the extra work because there are not many other shooters on the floor. Not just that, even when it comes to defending Steph, because if you have Jimmy Butler on court, you have Steph Curry. Sometimes defenders don't know who to guard first. You leave Steph Curry open, he's either making a play or he's knocking down a tray. And if you leave Jimmy Butler open, he's either driving to the basket or he's taking his jump shot. So they're confused as to who to cover. But the minute Jimmy Butler fell down, he was taken off the court. Steph Curry became fodder for the Rockets. And it was ridiculous that the referees were not making calls. Like they were literally grabbing this guy by the waist.
Mm-mm.
He's not Flavor Bania now. It's basketball we are playing. Release him. And the referees, it was like three blind mice. They were just on looking. So it just made life a little tougher for him. He managed to make some tough shots because Steph Curry was Steph Curry, but ultimately it was a journey too far for him. And so the questions about Jimmy Butler even playing game 3, which is this weekend. So it's going to be tough again on Steph Curry. It's not like the other guys sometimes carry their weight, but think about it. When you have a Steph Curry on your team and a Jimmy Butler on your team, it makes life a little easier. So two things happened on the night. Jimmy Butler got out of rotation through his injury. It affected the number of points they could get, and then all the calls that the officials refused to see against Steph Curry was really bad. It was really bad. At some point, Steph Curry sat down on the bench, and he was clearly thinking about his life. Some people were like, maybe he's thinking about how he'll move teams because he's playing with bombs. But really, ultimately, it was a lot for him to handle. So I think the Golden State Warriors, it's been spoken about a lot. Maybe officiating will be a little different in game 3, and will help because there were just way too many physical calls. Yes, it went back to the basketball of the 90s. They had to put some pressure on Golden State Warriors to stop them from shooting or from getting easy shots. We understand aggression, we understand physicality, but these were blatant fouls. They were all over him like white on rice. Sometimes two guys. There was one time the guard was actually pulling his shorts. And it's like, ref, if you can't see that, I don't know what you can see. Hope you don't drive with these eyes, with this vision that you're using to officiate here, because you'll be killing people. It was bad. So tough one for Golden State Warriors. They lost that game. They'll be looking to bounce back in game 3, and this time they'll be playing with home court advantage. So let's see how it works out for them. While we're talking about one former champion, let's talk about another former champion, the Denver Nuggets. Remember, they fired their coach 3 games to the end of the regular season. The worst timing ever to fire your coach. And he's the coach that won you the NBA championships. Well, they managed to win game 1. It was a close one. They lost game 2 by just 1 play, by 3 points, with Kawhi Leonard being all over the floor and doing the best. They lost last night by a huge margin. It was the most ridiculous result I've seen. And so Denver Nuggets not only lost home court advantage, but now they've lost scoreboard advantage. Lost 117 to 83. It was not a good thing to see. So we ultimately we have to see how they will now bounce back, because we don't know how they can. It's clearly not a player for player problem. Nikola Jokic is still there. Jamal Murray off and on. But it's ultimately how they are playing that's what's costing them. Yeah, how they are playing. And ultimately that's how they lost the game against the Clippers. So the 4th seed is about to be kicked out of the playoffs by the 7th seed. Remember, the Clippers had to play an extra game to get into the playoffs. And now they are beating the Nuggets that automatically qualified. Becoming ridiculous.
Indeed, becoming ridiculous. And talking about ridiculous.
So that's what's happening in Europe. That's what's happening in America.
I was going to say that, concerning the officiating in the Golden State game, maybe they've been watching too much of Premier League football, because I don't know what exactly is.
Maybe that's their inspiration.
Who knows? Who knows? Anyways, let's move away from that. Let's talk some tennis and the Madrid Open, where Iga Swiatek avoided another shock defeat against Filipina teenager Alexandra Ayla by fighting back to win the Madrid Open second round match. What's going on with Iga?
So clearly, she's suffering a dip in form, but I also think it's by virtue of this, her coach. Because her previous manager seemed to understand her well. And this one is a work in progress. And he also coached, I remember that he also coached, he was the one that coached Naomi Osaka when she first came back. And she seemed to have the same struggle closing out matches, struggling in games and then closing out matches. And her serves were also questionable. So I think it's this guy. I remember when the first set started against Yala. Remember Yala beat her when Yala was on that fantastic run when she went all the way, I think, to the quarterfinals or the semis. But she steps up against Yala again, drops her the second game, and then lost the set completely. Then she comes into the second set. She lost that first set with 25 unforced errors.
Mm.
And yes, some players go through deep in form, but this one is no longer deep. She's walking through the valley of the shadow of death because she has been here since January. We are in April. So
Could this be a
usually you
mental
see
issue or something?
look, because it starts with strategy, then it becomes psychological. Because when you start to lose matches, you now start second guessing yourself. That's how it goes. So it started with that, and then it got here. She, after 25 unforced errors in the first set, she went on to the second set, and sometimes she gathers momentum. And this is Iga Swiatek on clay. She's fantastic here. But she's struggling. She still struggled, but she managed to get the second set, and then the third set, she got her acts together. So I think it's this coach. It's her slow start. But Iga Swiatek is Iga Swiatek. She'll see how she can work it out before she ultimately fires him. Osaka is not like that. She was like, goodbye and God bless.
No time.
No time. As soon as she dumped him, that was when Iga Swiatek picked him. So Iga Swiatek, I think it's a combination of two things. Yes, she's struggling a deep in form, but I also think that this coach is part of the problem. But she was not the only big seed that struggled yesterday. Coco Gauff was bageled in her first set against Strenka. And then Strenka was struggling with her shoulder injury. I don't know if it was tension or if it was a real injury, but she lost the second set. Because when they got into the third set, that injury seemed to have disappeared a little bit. And they started breaking each other back and forth. But Coco broke more than Strenka. So at the end of the day, Coco was able to make it through 7-5 in the third set. So yes, some of the big names will struggle, but I think Iga Swiatek's struggle comes from her coach. On the men's side, though, huge news. Carlos Alcaraz, two-time winner of Madrid Masters, came out to announce that he couldn't, after signing autograph, and we're all excited, he now went to his press conference and said he can't play because that injury he picked up in Barcelona Open final has forced him out of this tournament.
Ouch.
So after he did an MRI, his team was like, "Okay, we are not playing on this leg. We are not Rafa Nadal." Rafa Nadal is the only guy that used to play through injuries. So Carlos Alcaraz has announced he's not playing in Madrid Masters. Just throws the field open. The question though is, how serious is the injury, and will he be back in time for the French Open? Those are the questions.
Those are the questions. Well, let's see whether Carlos Alcaraz will be back then. I mean, the French Open probably won't be the French Open without him on the courts. Let's wait and see what happens. Let's take our first break.
Without him and without Rafa Nadal.
That's not a good look. Not a good look at all. Anyways, let's take our first. Before we come back in, we'll talk about the Coppa Italia. Bologna have made it through to the final, and we're still wondering what exactly we need to do about Inter, because whenever they see AC Milan, they turn to what we don't know. All that and so much more on the other side of this break.
Oh yes, very and what makes matters worse is that they now have to. Their running is not easy. They still have
Inter's
to
running.
play Roma. Yeah, they have to play Roma in this year running.
And their level on points with Napoli, like is neck and neck.
And Napoli just like, thank you, thank you, thank
Anybody that
you.
blink, you miss it too.
I'm telling you, because yeah, I mean, even Barcelona, that there's 4 points in between them. It's almost like a do or die affair.
It is. It just
Not to
takes.
talk of
It
people
just
that
takes
are
one
tied on
bad result.
points. Yeah, one bad result, and you can spiral from there.
33 games, okay, 5 games left.
Yeah.
And the result, sorry, it starts at the same. 21 wins, 8 draws, 4 losses. Exact same thing. But Inter have better goal difference. But in Syria, they'll play a playoff if they are level or something, if I'm correct.
Check it now that we are here. Wait, let me check. Tie break for Syria.
Digital centers for the right combination of quality and price. Hey, what's going on, people? This is Lucy. Now listening to Breakfast.
Okay, if after all 38 games, two teams are
Yeah,
tied on points,
single-legged playoff match. Yes.
so no head-to-head and wow, okay.
Yeah, it goes from 90 minutes of regulation time followed by penalties. No extra time. I like this one. Fight to the death. This were the real gladiators.
Ah, oh Lord. Welcome back to the greatest sporting show on Lagos Radio. This is the Locker Room on Smooth 98.1. It's a beautiful Friday morning. Ayokumi here, having a great time. Alongside me is Tega Supreme. We're having supreme fun this morning, having going through the sporting news and everything in between. And we're looking forward to you also joining us on this ride. Hey, we need you to join us and talk to us and let us know your thoughts this morning. The WhatsApp number is 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 That is the WhatsApp number. YouTube, you can also join us there. We're streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All you need to do is leave your comments in the chat, and I can see our people there already. Uchenna is there, Papipayo is there. Tohib Addition, I see you. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on the show. All right, Tega, let's talk about what went on in the Coppa Italia. Bologna, they eased into the final following a 2-1 victory over Empoli at home on Thursday. That handed them a resounding 5-1 aggregate win as they set up a showdown with AC Milan.
Yes, so this is a good one for Bologna. They've had a fantastic season so far. They're fifth on the Serie A table. A tough team to beat all round. They've done a good job, and they're going to the semi-finals against Bologna, against Empoli. You know that they're most likely going to be the team to come out of that. So it was a more convincing, less less struggle for them against Empoli than what happened on the Milan side. On the Milan side, though, it was Inter Milan against AC Milan. 1-1 first leg. They both share San Siro. So even if it's home and away, they both share San Siro. So it was 1-1 after the first leg. Second leg ended 3-0 in favor of AC Milan. Jokic with a double in the derby. It is the most ridiculous cowering I've seen between rivals, because this season alone, Inter Milan have struggled against AC Milan. It's almost as if Inter Milan, when they see AC Milan, they become chihuahuas instead of lions. I don't understand the drastic changes. Like AC
Even
Milan,
Chihuahuas have a level of aggression, Tega.
do you understand? But maybe not Chihuahua. Maybe I shouldn't use Chihuahua.
Maybe
But AC
possums.
Milan, possum is mean. But AC Milan, with all the struggles, they concede goals easily. They're very expressive and expansive, so they know how to score, but they concede goals easily. And Inter Milan is a team that can catch you on the counter, that can break through your defense and get goals. But that game ended 3-0, and Inter Milan was playing their most so it's not like they had a bad day. They just don't know how to play AC Milan, especially this season. And so AC Milan was able to beat Inter Milan, get into the finals, and they're going to get a chance at the trophy. Remember, AC Milan is having a horrible season. They are 9 points at their ninth position on the table. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to touch Europe, at least not the good parts of Europe. So this will give them hope that the season is a little salvaged. But to also stop Inter Milan for winning the treble, it just make this victory taste a little sweeter. Like they put extra sugar in the victory. So stopping them from getting the treble and getting to the finals would have been good for AC Milan. For Inter Milan, though, the struggle continues because remember, in the Serie A, Inter Milan is tied on points with Napoli. So first and second, but they're tied on points. Difference is just goal difference. So any slip up right now, Inter Milan could lose the Scudetto. Not only that, they are in the Champions League, so they have to, talk about recovery for their team, because now they're still in two major competitions and they have to
Exactly.
play those two major competitions well. To make matters worse, Inter still has teams like Roma to play in their running to this Scudetto title. Resurgent Roma that with the Tinkerman. That's the Roma that they're going to play. So it doesn't get any easier for Inter Milan. So it could quickly go down from treble to nothing, or it could mean from treble to double. But they will have to fight,
Hmm.
fight for it. Mm.
That is something Inter Milan wants to think. I mean, after having such a great season up until this point and then end up with nothing, man, that would be
It'll be
extremely
tough. And then,
disastrous
oh,
for
I
them.
heard one new one. We found out one new one today. The Italian Serie A, if they are tied on points, they play a one-legged playoff. 90 minutes, and if nobody wins in 90 minutes, they do penalty shootout. So it's gladiator style in
Fight,
Italian Serie
fight
A.
to the death.
They fight to the death. They
All
better
right.
win.
They better win. All right, away from the Coppa Italia to the Copa del Rey, Barcelona, who are in scintillating form, face a stumbling Real Madrid in Saturday's final that offers the Catalan side a chance to inflict a third humiliation on their rivals, who are seeking redemption as they bid to avoid a trophyless campaign.
So I didn't hear you, Ayo. Sorry.
Uh, I was talking about Barcelona, who are facing Real Madrid tomorrow in the Copa del Rey final, and looking at
Oh
a chance
yes.
to
So
inflict a third humiliation on them.
looking for that chance, and it makes it even easier that Camavinga is out for the season with a groin injury. Now, hear me about this Camavinga's injury before we get to the Copa del Rey tie. He picked up this injury against Getafe on Wednesday night in that 1-0 win. When I look at that clash and I look at it again, the Getafe player, yes, left his leg to tackle Camavinga, but Camavinga dragged his leg against the guy's leg, and that's how he picked up this injury. Like, for me, it was an avoidable injury. Because it's not like the Getafe player kicked him per se. He just left a leg there, and Camavinga dragged his leg to get the foul, and groin injury that takes him out for the rest of the season. It's the most ridiculous kind of injury. So yes, he's going to be missing from that final. Mbappe will come back in because La Liga did magic. Because after
La
getting
Liga did magic.
it's magic now. After getting a straight red card for that nasty tackle, they gave him a one-match suspension. How? They gave him that suspension, obviously, so that he could play in the Copa del Rey final, because they want all their stars to align. They're focused on the content as opposed to their principle of the game. And so he's going to be back for that game. And he has a point to prove, because the news around Spain and around the world is that him coming into Real Madrid has somehow upset the chemistry that they had last season that made them winners. I can't say that Real Madrid's state is entirely on him, because, Ancelotti also has his selection issues. He's a stickler for certain players. And so even when they're not working, instead of him to change, he will stick to those players. So there's a combination of things that made Real Madrid to be in this position that they are in. But a lot of people are heaping it on the acquisition of Mbappe and how he change the chemistry between the teams. So he has a point to prove against Real Madrid. Not only that, Real Madrid also have a point. I mean, think about it. The first El Clasico in the La Liga, they were soundly beaten. Then they played the Super Cup final, and they were soundly beaten again by Barcelona. And now they're meeting again. They have to win something. This is another final. If they can just beat Barcelona here, it will be double revenge, because they will get a trophy and they will get some of their confidence back. But
Exactly.
To lose to this Barcelona side, and Barcelona side is not just winning 2 goals, beating them soundly, 4 goals, 5
4-0,
goals,
5-2. I mean,
soundly beating. So it's going to be a tough one. The good news for them is that Barcelona is also having their struggles. Remember, Lewandowski is out with an injury, and their last match in the midweek, they struggled. They created 40 chances, 13 shots on target, and they were only able to score 1 goal. So they also have their struggles without Lewandowski. So both teams with their various struggles, so it will come down to who can take their chances on the day.
All right, let's move away from that. Let's talk about Arsenal. Finally, we can talk about this particular issue. Now, Mikel Arteta admitted that Arsenal have to get their energy back for the Champions League showdown with PSG after a lackluster 2-2 draw against Crystal Palace left Liverpool on the brink of winning the Premier League title.
Yeah. If Arsenal had won, Liverpool would have had to be delayed again. Their fate would not have been in their hands. But Arsenal didn't win, and that's been a problem in recent times. I think they've had so far 13 or 15 draws in the Premier League alone. That is where the points have been lost, and it didn't come down to officiating like most people want to claim. Even if there were some dodgy calls made against Arsenal, it also didn't come down to injuries like some other fans will want to claim, even if Arsenal did have injuries to key players during the season, like Gabriel in recent times, Bukayo Saka, Odegaard at some point, it didn't come down to injuries. What it came down to was what happened in the second goal that Crystal Palace scored. It came down to those errors. It's almost as if you play Arsenal, they will give you goals. The question is, can you outscore them? And on the day, Crystal Palace didn't need to outscore them. They just need to score the same number of goals. Because when you watch Arsenal over the season, there were games that were tough to win, and they could have gotten away with winning by one goal. But because of these defensive lapses, like that second goal that Arsenal gave away against Crystal Palace, they end up dropping 2 points. And so ultimately, Arsenal's season was lost on the altar of defensive errors. Sometimes Saliba was culprit, sometimes Kivia was culprit, sometimes Gabriel was culprit, sometimes Raya was culprit. But it came down to those defensive errors because there are some tight games that you find it very hard to score. And when you just get that one goal, you know how to hold it and keep it. You've seen Liverpool hold and keep their own sometimes. But those games, Arsenal did not hold and keep. They gave away and came away with draws against Bournemouth. I remember that one clearly, against Everton. So there were those games that they gave away goals and ended up with draws when it could have been 3 points. And that is where Arsenal lost their season. So Arsenal fans, don't cry. It wasn't the referee, it wasn't injuries, it was your defense. And Arsenal is supposed to have the most solid defense in the Premier League.
I
But
was
it's
going to
not,
mention that. Actually,
yeah,
I mean, they've had a solid, I mean, since last season or thereabouts, they've had a solid defensive
yes,
record.
solid defense. But remember that Saliba started going off since the Euros. If you had been watching Saliba, he started making errors from the Euros from France till he came here. He didn't stop this season. So Crystal Palace own was clear, but there were other instances during the season. And then the partnership was broken up sometimes through injuries. Remember that sometimes he didn't play with Gabriel. Um,
Sure.
and then it was last season it was the back four with White, Saliba, Gabriel. White was also injured for a lot of games this season. You had to move Urian Timber there. So even if he's great sometimes, it's again that mix of chemistry. So they're supposed to have one of the best defenses. They have a great goalkeeper in Raya, but even he too gave away some cheap goals sometimes. So when you think about it, it came down those defensive errors. They were the little foxes that spoiled the vine.
The little foxes indeed. All right, let's take messages. Let's run through them real quick here. This is from Nathan Njoko in Kirikiri Town. He says, I said it on Wednesday. It's like Inter de fear Milan, aka their Waterloo. Arsenal lack the, as the great boss would say, the testicular fortitude to win anything. They're a fine boy team. They were never our challengers because I knew they would tire out. Nathan, you're carrying shoulder now, Abi. Liverpool winning the league again with games to spare. Hope Slot plays Chiesa this weekend. Congratulations to me. What do you mean again? How many times you won it? Nathan, please, oh. At the quick vex these days. Mohammed Mohammed says, Tega Abeg, stop complaining for Golden State because all the other playoff games have been very physical. Golden State is playing small ball, meaning they don't have big men. The Clippers use the physicality of their big men to beat the Nuggets, especially Zubac. In this year's playoffs, you can't go far without enough physicality.
That's one
Okay.
point. But it's one thing to be physical. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with physicality. There's something wrong with officials not seeing blatant fouls. and those were too many blatant fouls to not have called. So
All right. All right. This is coming from is there a name attack? This is from Anthony, if I got this correctly. Congratulations to Barcelona in advance on winning their second trophy in tomorrow's El Clasico, and Liverpool for winning the EPL this season. I admire the confidence. Ibukun says, so even away from football, Barcelona is still spoiling things for Madrid. Now, wow, was Saliba thinking with that pass to Odegaard? The way Mateta brushed Odegaard aside like tissue paper reminds me of Drogba against Sandro against Sandro Ross. That was a mismatch back in the day. And Tyre says,
no, but that one was a mismatch of football IQ. This was a mismatch in every ramification.
Ouch, ouch, ouch. Okay. Tyre says, between Arsenal's performance and Enyaluko's allegation against Ian Wright, it's hard to know which is bad. I'd just like to congratulate PSG in advance because there's doubts in opposition. Golden State Warriors will be all right. And he says, anyway, Lakers in 5. I don't know if that's going to happen, chap. But let me go to YouTube very quickly here and take your thoughts. Uche Nawokoye says, it seems like it's only PSG and Barcelona that may win a treble this season. When will United be in this conversation? Can't wait for the games this weekend. Uche, patience is a virtue. Padre Pio says, hello, Arsenal fans. How are you doing? You go again next year, right? Ouch. Ayofedada says, Real Madrid, be prepared because the type of beating you guys will receive on Sunday in the Copa del Rey final against Barcelona will be one for the history books.
I think Real Madrid will shock people. I'm on for Real Madrid shocking all of you.
And Toib says, Champions League final, I predict Barca and PSG to play that one. Okay, we shall see. Time will tell.
All right. On that note, Arsenal may have something to say about it. But on that note, I want to thank you for sending your messages via WhatsApp. Thank you for streaming on YouTube. And thank you for tuning into Smooth 98.1 FM to listen to The Locker Room. Now, you know what it is. This weekend, Chelsea is playing against Everton. Arsenal is resting because they played their game midweek. So Chelsea is playing against Everton. Liverpool is playing against Tottenham. That's where the title could be decided. Can the North London boys help their rivals to delay the title parade? They can't stop it. They can only delay. I don't think so, but let's see how it happens. This is football. On that note, pray that your team is not fodder for banter and have a fantastic weekend.
Amen to that one, Tega. Well, let's see if Tottenham can delay. And you know what they say? Delay is not Delilah at the end of the day. So we shall see. Thank you for being a part of The Locker Room and keep you tuned to Smooth 98.1. The Smooth Breakfast continues.